Okay. Now, obviously, Stacy is a friend of the title character in Hekla, but also with her own space within the story. What was immediately familiar to you about her when you began developing the character?
Definitely the fact that she's an actress, and she seems to honestly eat and breathe acting. Everything she does, even her day job, she's casting during the day and then performing at night. So there was that. And I think just the drive of her character, I think she has a very strong... she's just very driven to do her art, which I can correlate with, yeah.
Very good. Acting and competitive auditioning is a strange alchemy for a decent friendship. How did you and Liz Stam develop a chemistry of a new friendship within the universe, noting the competitive nature of the working actor?
Oh, that's a good question. So me and Liz have known each other actually for quite a while now. And I kind of found, honestly, it was pretty easy to portray because I would say me and Liz are close, but not like too close. I find us to still be like budding friendships. So it kind of mirrored our own relationship, which was really cool. As far as the competitiveness, I feel like when you're younger, I think or at least for me, when I was younger, it used to kind of haunt me a bit. Now that I'm older, it's like, no, we just cheer each other on and do your thing. And that's kind of how I viewed our relationship within the movie.
Great. What moment in your journey as a performer gave you the addictive energy of the stage? And how do you think it was a vital step along the path toward working in film and Hekla?
Oh, man. Quite honestly, as an actress, especially being in Chicago, one thing I love about Chicago theater is that a lot of the time it is in more intimate theater spaces. There's a lot more stage... storefronts. There's a lot more storefronts that only seat about like 40 people. And because of that, you kind of have the opportunity to be more specific, it almost kind of replicates acting for the camera a bit more than on a huge stage that seats, like 500 people. So that's one thing that I found within Chicago that really has, helped me get into film and just find a love for film is like within the specificity and the little nuances that you can do on a storefront theater stage and then replicate that within film.
Stacy is a person, as you describe her, that eats and breathes the stage. What does a stage actor do that is completely opposite to film-type acting in your experience?
Ooh, okay. So one thing I will say, when I actually signed on to do this project I think it was like 2.5 years ago at this point,
wow.
I actually was only supposed to play Stacy, the casting director. I was not supposed to play Macbeth. And as things went on, Michael had asked me if I wanted to do Macbeth, and that I of course said yes. But that also really helped me develop the character further because at that point I realized, this is a person who their entire life revolves around acting and the art of performing and all the little things that go with that. So yeah, that definitely helped inform the character.
What does a stage actor do that's completely opposite to film-type acting?
Yeah. That's an interesting one. I would say sometimes the approach is different. Obviously with stage, you're rehearsing for months. Film, you're not always going to have that. We had a couple rehearsals, but it definitely was nothing compared to...
putting it up.
But yeah, performing on stage. I think a big difference is just like how big you have to be for this stage. Granted, in this movie, we're performing in a bar. Quite honestly, I didn't try to get like too much bigger than I would on film. But yeah, I would just say like the size of of your emotions alters. But besides that, I honestly, like, the way I prep and everything, I try to keep it very similar. I don't like to think of them as completely different beasts, especially when it comes to, like, developing a character.
Very good. You've conquered some incredibly classic roles on the stage. Why do stage plays like The Seagull and The Importance of Being Earnest, for example, continue to bedazzle audiences, perhaps having completely different meanings when they were first staged?
Oh, I love this question. I've been thinking about this quite a lot, especially because I recently did Hedda Gabler. Now they're coming out with a movie, or it's already out at this point. But I find that with classical theater, there are a lot of universal truths that continue to be important, right? But what I find interesting is how different performances and how different theaters can zone in on a specific theme or idea of the play that correlates with what is currently happening in the world. And I also love it because, almost every show that you see of classical theater can have a different message because of that. Yeah.
That's great. That's great. So you're also a drama-schooled actor. Could you imagine a scenario where a person decides to become an actor and trains themselves by getting parts and doing it? Or do you believe that school training is vital for teaching essentials and early challenges to the craft?
Oh, okay. I have a lot of thoughts on this. So I think it depends on the type of acting you want to do.
Excellent.
I would say, like, for more classical things, I think that training will always help, having voice and speech, getting your breath work and just knowing how to project. Honestly, just knowing how to project on the stage is pretty important. And I find that schooling can obviously really helps that. I would say, if you're more interested in acting for the camera or just doing commercial work, you don't necessarily need the same training as you would for this stage. I've had a lot of training in my years. I went to Idlewild Arts Academy, which is a boarding arts high school. At the time, I was a musical theater major. Very, very different. But yeah, my high school days were a lot different than the average high schooler.
Yeah, sure.
But I have found my training to be kind of paramount for my work and the type of work that I like to do. I try not to get too bogged down by it, though. I think that some people can, kind of just like slide on their technique and ride their technique. I don't like to do that. I like to make sure I'm adding some, nuances and human traits, for lack of a better term. But yeah, I think it just really depends. You definitely can go out and do that. For me, my schooling was amazing, and I wouldn't trade it for the world.
Very good. Of course, acting is also the atmosphere you create with your looks and your presence. With all the pressure that society puts on women, how do you develop a shield against the vulnerabilities of judgment? And how do you feel you use your atmosphere to advance attention to yourself and create character?
Okay, firstly, I hate it. I absolutely, and honestly, I don't know if I have a good answer for this one, because I am somebody who's very hard on myself, and I don't know if I have found any, I don't know if I've found a place, and I don't think I've ever really found anything that helps me set all that aside, besides just trying to meditate and set it aside.
It's human nature.
Yeah, I know that obviously people are going to judge you. That's what happens. As Brooke, I definitely get very annoyed when people try to pigeonhole me as one thing, but I think that's another reason why I work the way that I do. I would much rather be a chameleon within my work and be able to change and show all these different colors. I would never want to just play the same thing over and over again. So yeah, I really try to do that, even if that means, messing up my hair and giving myself eye bags to make me, a little, to make me look a little more grimy, if you will.
Yeah, you're a character.
Yeah. That's the kind of work that I like to do. But yeah, I'm not sure how to answer that question. I haven't figured that out. If you ever do, let me know.
Yeah, thank you. Finally, when you're between shows or TV film like you are now, how do you keep your performance wheel lubricated? For example, what type of monologue do you think defines both the actor you are and the person that resonates with the words and feelings within that monologue?
I find that in my downtime, in general, I really like art. Doesn't matter if it's, painting, dancing, anything. So whatever I do in my downtime, most of the time I try to find some sort of artistic outlet, whether or not that is painting or dancing. Like I said, I think that, it can be a really tough industry. You hear no a lot, or you don't hear anything at all, which can be even, in my opinion, tougher. It's like, man, just say no. Just say no. And the way that I combat the hardships is really just by trying to set some goals that are actually obtainable, like, I want to work out every day, I want to finish this painting project, or things like that that kind of fuel me artistically, and are doable, because it's, you can't make a goal of like, it's going to be my goal to be in this Brad Pitt movie. There's so much out of your control. It's like, and you can't blame yourself if you don't book it, because quite honestly, it is. There's so much out of your control. So,
what about the monologue question? Like, what do you use for, if somebody says come in and bring your own stuff, what do you use?
I'm not sure. I think, honestly, so I have gone through massive change within the past, I would say, 2 or 3 years. I would definitely need to find new monologues if I were to be asked to come in with one.
This is Patrick McDonald for HollywoodChicago.com. Copyright 2025.